Alrighty folks, it is officially time for the next monthly Q&A. As always, if you'd like to be featured in the next one, either leave your questions down in the comments of this video or keep your eyes posted over on the community tab. I always post up over there about a week in advance, just being like, hey, I'm about to do another Q&A, or join the Discord server, because I always let you guys know immediately as soon as anything is happening over there, or follow me on Instagram at GrotesqueIG, because I also post up over there about a week in advance and post a couple of times to let you guys get all your questions in. But we're not going to waste any time, okay? Let's just go ahead and get into the first question. The first question coming from Shira over on the Discord server, who asks, if you could ask for any piece of PC hardware to make your PC setup for videos better, what would that thing be? Totally not asking because I want to get you something. Oh, Shiva, you don't gotta do that. You know what? If I could ask for one piece of PC hardware, it would probably be a VGA to HDMI converter, because my second monitor is a 2008 Acer monitor and it only has VGA on it. There's no HDMI, so maybe a VGA to HDMI would be pretty cool. The next question comes from Zigumatic, also on the Discord server, who has top 3 albums. Oh my goodness, you did not just do this to me. Okay, I'd probably say, oh goodness, Slipknot, Iowa, Seether, Karma and Effect, and Metallica. Oh, which Metallica album do I choose? We gotta have a Metallica album here. Do we go with Metallica Black? I might have to say Black, just because there's a lot of classics on there, man. We got Enter Sandman, Sad But True, Wherever I May Roam, Nothing Else Matters, The Unforgiven. Like, I know that's kind of like their radio-friendly album, but I've always loved that one. Ride the Lightning is also one of my favorite albums, though. Oh, and Master of Puppets, though, man, because, I mean, you have the title track, Master of Puppets, you got Welcome Home, Sanitarium, you got Battery. Dude, there's so many awesome songs on that record, too. Metallica Black. That's what we're gonna go with. Slipknot, Iowa, Seether, Karma and Effect, and Metallica Black. The next question comes from Egg, who asks, how long do you think about doing your channel for? As long as there is a Grotesque, there will always be a Grotesque YouTube channel, okay? This is one of those things where I wanted to do YouTube ever since I was a little kid. And I am so blessed, and thank God every single day, to be privileged enough to be in this position to where I can do my childhood dream full-time as a job. You have no idea how surreal that is for me. It's still to the effect where I look in the mirror every day and I'm like, there's no way this is actually real, but it's really real. And I'm so grateful, not just to the Lord, but also to everybody else that continues to watch, support my content, for making this dream a reality for me. I seriously appreciate it. But beyond the mushing and gushing, how long do I see myself doing YouTube for? Honestly, like I said, I see myself doing it till the day I die, you know, daily uploads and everything, you know, like, I don't care what happens, even if, like, oh, one day something happens where, oh, I don't know, I end up in a hospital or severely injured for some reason, I'll make sure because here's the thing with me, since I've been doing content for so long, I have plenty of videos that I've made that just haven't been released, and I have, like, so many stockpiled, I could just, like, drip feed it. Like, I could die and you guys would still have content for, like, the next 5 years because of how much content I've made that I'm just sitting on in my, like, my terabytes of hard drives that I have, just all these video files. So, yeah, honestly, I don't really see an end to this, not anytime soon anyway. Okay, now the next questions come from Big Daddy Matty 45 on the Discord server. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna display a bunch of them at once, and then all the questions I'm about to rattle off, just know that they're all from him, okay? Here we go. If you could catch and keep Shadow, aka the cat in my backyard, or would you? And same with Mikey the Turtle. Of course I would, I just don't know the laws and legislations behind that. Next question is, what are your future plans within the next 6 months, whether that be YouTube or IRL? I know you're planning on moving, how do you think that will go? Within the next 6 months specifically, I plan on actually kind of just doing my thing, you know, just kind of riding the wave, continuing to make YouTube content, continuing to kind of save up my money, because yes, I would like to move relatively soon. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to end up moving to. I've been throwing around some ideas, still not really set on anything, but for the next 6 months, it's just going to be a lot of bunkering down, working my ass off, doing the Grotesque thing, just staying on the grind, and keep pushing forward. And the next question from Big Daddy Matty 45 on the Discord server, who is the girl you keep calling wifey and her in your Instagram stories? So, for those that are not in my close friends story on Instagram, because I only have a handful of fellow friends and content creators that I have in my close friends story on Instagram, okay? I do this thing where I repost reels and posts a lot, and there's this girl I've been calling wifey and her, you know, just, it's just simping. And let me get this straight, it is not just one girl. We're gonna run down the list. It's Emily Armstrong from Linkin Park, Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, bro, she is so hot. I can't, give me a minute. Melina from Elden Ring, because I posted a clip from Elden Ring saying me and wifey obliterating Morgott, and in the clip it literally looked like I was playing with somebody, so I couldn't blame anybody if they thought I was like dating somebody or something. No, I'm still single. I'm simping for waifus in the game. That was literally like an AI control thing, you know, just like an NPC, me and Melina fighting Morgott. And I'm sure there's like other like fictional characters or celebrities I've oh, Sue Metal from Baby Metal, that's another one that I have the most massive crush on her. So just in case anybody was worried, no, the single grotesque arc has not ended. I am still as single as this can of Pringles. The next question from Big Daddy Matty 45, any updates on the album and a release date? It's coming out this fall. I don't really got any updates on the release date, and in terms of the album, I mean, it's still going great, it's still coming this fall, gonna look great. Are you gonna keep feeding Shadow bread, or will you soon upgrade her to pimp level and feed her cat food? See, here's the thing, I don't know if it's a he or a she, but I'm gonna keep tossing the bread out there, and then, you know, at some point, if it keeps coming around, if it really makes itself at home, then yeah, I'll go get it some catnip or something like that. How have your lungs recovered since you quit smoking? Have you noticed any differences? Yes, actually, I have a lot more endurance, right? Like, I'm able to handle walking around and, you know, just kind of like running around and stuff like that a lot better, and overall, I just feel a lot better. You asked about my lungs specifically, so just specifically talking about my lungs, you know, I don't have to like hack up the most disgusting black charred looking stuff every 5 minutes, which is awesome, because I used to like fucking sit there like hacking shit up every 5 minutes. It was disgusting, because I used to smoke anywhere from like 1 to 3 packs a day. It was vile. Overall though, between my lungs and just my health in general, I feel a lot better. In fact, as of the 26th of June, that'll be my 16-month mark of you know, quitting smoking, so aka a year and 4 months. Yeah, I feel great. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made. His next question is, are you more excited for Resident Evil 9 or Black Ops 7? I would say Resident Evil 9 just because I've been waiting longer for that game, and you know, Call of Duty is just sort of a given every year, but I'm very excited for Black Ops 7 given the fact that it is a sequel to my favorite Call of Duty of all time, that being Black Ops 2, which is also just one of my favorite games of all time, so I mean, I'm really excited for both games either way. I would say I'm actually, in the moment, more excited for Black Ops 7 just because it comes out sooner, if that makes sense. Like, it's closer in the hype cycle, so yeah. Do you think Rockstar will make a Bully 2? Probably, maybe, but not anytime soon. Do you think GTA 7 will release before GTA 6? There's a high chance. When's the next G's Kitchen video? I'm hungry and need help cooking. I was actually, here's the funny part, I was going to make a G's Kitchen video today, but then I forgot that I said I was going to do the Q&A today, so that's why I'm actually doing this instead now. I've noticed scruff in your last video. Will you shave again to make it grow more, or are you going to see how long it gets and then shave it so it gets longer? I'm probably going to shave again here soon, because I do kind of want to grow it out a bit more, but yeah, I am getting that scruff, boys, because I shaved for the first time a few weeks ago, for the first time since I was like 12 or 13 or something, and I was always like, oh man, I can't grow facial hair, but now that I shaved, it's like actually growing in, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I have like all this hair down here that I've never had before. And the next question from Big Daddy Matty 45, which is not the last one, because he even posts on my Instagram, is Mrs. Nug, aka Mrs. Daddy Matty, asks, how are people born? When a mommy and a daddy love each other very much. The next question comes from one of my best friends, Lilithix, over in the Discord server. Also, make sure you go check her out on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all that. She makes amazing content. She's one of my best friends, one of my best content creator friends. Love her. But her question is, I'd like to know more about G's album. How long have you been writing songs for? What kind of genre is it? And how do you think your musical style has progressed over time? Dang, this is actually a really cool question. I love getting to talk about this stuff, because obviously, like, basically nobody has heard it yet. Like, I sent some things to my mom. She's heard, like, slight snippets of it, and she thinks it's freaking awesome. So I'm just sort of trusting my mother's judgment that it is actually good. But anyway, I've actually been writing songs for this album for 6 years now. This has been 6 years in the making, just because life has been a roller coaster, to say the least, over the last 6 years especially. There is remnants of my last heartbreak in this album, which it's kind of funny because I've been single for 6 years now, so yeah, you know, it's like heartbreak from like 6 years ago that I was writing about 6 years ago, but it worked its way into this album because it was relevant to some of the other themes I was talking about. Obviously, I'm like way over it. Like, that was like 6 years ago, whatever, but some of the themes just kind of tied into their stuff like that. There's old piano pieces I wrote that end up getting in here. Like, there's a song on the record called Memories, and it's a piano piece that I wrote like 5-6 years ago, something like that, and it's a song about like my childhood and, you know, my abusive parents and all this. It's one of the most raw and vulnerable tracks on the record, and when I went to do this final stretch of recording, right, because even though I've been writing it for like 6 years, I only really decided in the last few months, like, okay, this is gonna be an album. We're like going all in on this thing. You know, that was just one of those things where I was like, okay, I actually don't want to re-record that, because the way that I wrote it at the time was perfect. The hook was already perfect. I just had to rewrite the verses because the verses were a little botched. But yeah, outside of that, you know, there's a lot of other stuff on the record too. It's mainly like rap, old school rap, not like the new trap garbage, you know, it's more in the style like old school Eminem and stuff like that. But there's also a lot of other experimental stuff on it. There's actually a full-on like punk rock song. The final song is like an acoustic ballad. There's a straight up like new metal song on here. It's a hate letter to somebody, but I can't exactly say who it's to, but like when you hear the song and you hear the lyrics, it'll be very obvious who it's about, like a certain person in my life. It's a certain type of person that everybody has in their life at one point, so you know you can kind of put two and two together at that on that, I guess. It'll be pretty obvious when you listen to it though. But yeah, it's just a very angry hate letter. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of variety on there for some really cool stuff. The next question comes from one of my favorite people in the universe, that being Kiki Likes You over on Instagram, who asks, did you ever have a big dream as a kid but never succeeded it? Yes, actually, and that would be being like a big music star or something like that, because, okay, so here's the story. If you already know me, you've already heard this before, but ever since I was a kid, another thing I always really wanted to do was music, because obviously YouTube was always like sort of my main thing. I was just like, okay, like content creation or something in that creative field would be really cool, but music was also like really up there alongside that, like, man, I would love to do music, and you know, YouTube worked out, thankfully, and if I could choose between the two of them of like being a YouTuber or succeeding in music, I'd still choose YouTube, just because, you know, music's just one of those things you can always do at any time, really, but YouTube isn't as much of a given. But yeah, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, man, I had all these dreams, like maybe one day like playing stages or something like that. And I will say that dream may actually be coming to fruition, because once this album releases, I was looking and I did find some venues near me that had some available slots to book shows and whatnot for potential smaller artists. You would obviously just have to like call ahead, talk with the people, and, you know, just see if they're actually interested in having you play there or whatnot. But I did find a few venues nearby, so, you know, I'm not entirely sure, but I think that would actually make for some pretty cool content if I would like go out there and play in front and just say like, you know, a few hundred people, something like that. Just, you know, get some cool clips out of it to post to the channel, and who knows, maybe if the album ends up taking it off in any substantial way, then maybe I could go on to do like shows just anywhere else. The next question comes from Mr. Gman246011 on the Instagram, who asks, what's the square root of cheese? You're Asian, you should be able to figure it out. Oh man, the square root of cheese, it depends, man. Are we talking like Gouda cheese, cheddar cheese, American cheese? I don't know, man. I'm gonna just say the square root is 69 over 420. All right, lads, we're officially moving over to the YouTube comments. The first question over in the YouTube comments comes from CMoney719, who says, love your content, and how do you feel about the new Xbox/ROG Ally handheld? I think it's pretty cool. I've been waiting a while for Xbox to get their hands in the handheld ring, because Sony's obviously already done in the past, like the PlayStation Portable back in the 2000s. The PS Vita, rest in peace and live forever. The PS Vita will always be one of my favorite handhelds. But yeah, you know, it's just one of those things where obviously like Nintendo's well known for their handhelds, and then Xbox is the one, it's just the one that never really did anything. And to the extent, you know, they're still like, they're technically kind of doing it, I guess, but since it's sort of like a partnership with ROG, I don't know, it's like kind of, sure, it's Xbox dipping their toes in the handheld scene, but it's not exactly in the way that I would have expected it to necessarily, because you know, we can obviously assume that this is going to support things like Steam and all that, so it isn't just going to necessarily be dedicated to Xbox specifically. But you know, that is just sort of the direction that Xbox is going nowadays, where we're seeing things like Gears of War and Forza, and probably even eventually Halo coming to even like PlayStation, and probably even eventually like Switch 2 down the line. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Gears Reloaded end up on Switch 2, or just like any of those other games, you know what I mean, where Microsoft is just genuinely becoming like the biggest publisher, even on other platforms, as we've seen multiple times now on the eShop and PS5 and whatnot. But overall, I'm really excited to see, you know, what the handheld's like, how it performs, and I'll definitely be curious to see how it stacks up against something like Steam Deck, because I would say, in my personal opinion, when it comes to price to performance ratio, the Steam Deck is still the ultimate handheld, I would say, in terms of the money that you pay, the quality you get, especially when it comes to warranties, and just knowing that you're buying a quality product that'll hold up over time, as well as the flexibility that the Steam Deck offers with, say, the dock, where yes, you can play it handheld, but if you get that dock, you can basically treat it like a Nintendo Switch and just hook it up to your TV and play your Steam games that way, hook up a Bluetooth controller to it, and get that Switch functionality out of something that, relatively speaking, especially compared to, say, like a Switch 2 now, you definitely get your money's worth, especially considering the fact that, like, well, yes, you could say, okay, but the Steam Deck is a bit more expensive if, say, you get one of the higher end models and dump an SSD into it. You also have years of your game library already in that Steam Deck compared to like a Switch 2, which is like brand new, but obviously that has a bunch of exclusives. I'm going way off topic here. You get what I'm saying, though. I'm just excited to see. We'll just get back on track here. I'm excited to see how the Xbox handheld performs. The next question comes from ZebrasWorld, who asks, what's your thoughts on the modern COD games, Black Ops 6, MW3, etc., etc.? For me, I think they're way too repetitive. They just make a game and slap a new name on it and maybe add a few maps and that's it. I still love Call of Duty, but they're not as good as they were a few years ago. As always, love the content. God bless, man. So personally, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with this because I feel like even in the modern landscape, while yes, there is an argument to be made, like, okay, they all run on a pretty similar engine now, whereas back in the day, you know, Black Ops 1 felt so different from Modern Warfare 3, and Black Ops 2 felt so different from even Black Ops 1 or Black Ops 3. I feel like that's just sort of where we're at in the modern landscape, just due to the fact that Warzone is sort of the grounding factor that has to unify everything, because we saw what happened when they didn't unify the engines, that being the integration of Cold War into Warzone, where it was just an absolute catastrophe. They basically had to make all of the same content, operators, weapons, and such twice. The balancing was all over the place. The animations were really clunky in Warzone, and while Cold War still felt great, you know, I've said this before, Cold War was essentially the last classic Call of Duty that we ever got. Obviously, it was in the modern landscape of battle passes and free seasonal content. We were away from the DLCs, but I just mean in terms of the way the engine felt. While, yes, it didn't feel as classic as, say, like, even, like, something like Black Ops 4 did, it felt more classic than, say, like, Vanguard or MW2 or any of the games that came after that, just because there was no tac sprinting, you were running around, it still felt very arcadey, you know, the slides felt arcadey, the gunplay felt still pretty arcadey, even if it was a bit more weighty. But that being said, even though all the current games do run on a unified engine, and in some ways they do feel like when you get on a new Call of Duty, like, yes, you kind of know what to expect now, at least in terms of the mechanics. I feel like each game still brings something so new to the table. Like, you look at all of the campaigns, all of them are completely unique. You look at the multiplayer, they're all completely unique. You look at Black Ops 6 with its zombies offering. That, I mean, it's very unique content all in itself, and when you get down to the individual games, it might be easy in the moment to be like, okay, you know, like, what all's really changing here? But when you look at it, between all the new weapons, all the new maps, all the new operators, all the new content, you have the Omni movement in Black Ops 6, where, you know, MW2 started the trend of kind of just messing with the movement, trying to switch things up, right? They brought back dolphin diving in that game, but the movement was a lot slower. And then MW3 was like, okay, we're just going to take everything from that, refine it, make it a bit faster. The movement was a bit faster. The slides were a bit more snappy. The dives were a bit more snappy. And then Black Ops 6 was like, okay, let's just do that, but like, just turn it up to crack mode. You know, you got all this crazy Omni movement. You can dive and slide in all directions. The gunplay in itself just feels really damn smooth this year, and we're assuming Black Ops 7 is going to feel the same way with the Omni movement, and there's been rumors that wall running from like Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare and such is returning, so if that's going to be the case, then I'm sure there's going to be, like, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the same as Black Ops 3 where you can almost infinitely wall run, or if it's going to be more of a parkour maneuver where, say, you know, you got your character here and they're just kind of like jump up on the wall for a sec, do a few steps, and then step back down, you know what I mean? But regardless, they're doing so much in each game to refine the movement tech and the overall gunplay and such that I feel like each game still warrants being its own release, especially when you factor in all the content that is now free compared to back in the day where you had to pay over $100 on each individual Call of Duty game, where you would pre-order it or buy it for $60. You'd have to throw down another $50 for the season pass, or if you buy each map pack individually, that's like $15 right there. So that's like $60 in total. So you'd be paying anywhere from like $110 to $120 per year. Whereas now you pay the fat $70, maybe $100 fee if you're like me and you get the Vault Edition. And then you get all the content right there. Sure, there's like optional cosmetics with bundles and battle passes and premium cosmetics and whatnot, and the whole landscape of monetization in COD is a conversation for another day for sure, but when it comes to just like the modern landscape of Call of Duty, my opinions on it, I love Call of Duty just as much now as I did back then. In fact, I'd even go on to say that I love Call of Duty more than ever each subsequent year, just because there's more Call of Duty to embrace and enjoy and play. The next question comes from What the Flip Man, who asks, what is your favorite console startup? For me, that would come down to a few consoles, but I'd say my all-time favorite is definitely the PlayStation 2. You just, you know, call it nostalgia bias, call it what you will, but turning it on, hearing that, like that really loud noise as it like zooms in. And here's a cool fact that a lot of people don't know. On the PlayStation 2 home screen, you know those little towers that show up? Depending on how many saves you have on your memory card, there will either be less or more towers. So if you have a lot of saves, there will be more towers that show up. And if you don't have any saves, there will be like nothing there, which is like a cool little fact that a lot of people don't actually know when I tell them about that. But yeah, if I had to choose an absolute favorite, especially when you get to the screen after that, where if you have a disc in, it'll automatically start the game, and then it pops up and says like PlayStation 2. You just know you're about to play a damn good game, and then it gets into it. So yeah, PS2, that's my favorite console startup. The next question comes from Sean A1, who asks, will you ever upload Souls-likes again? Yes, I will. I'm just waiting for a Souls-like to upload. I know we had the Liza P DLC a bit ago, so I'll still have to get around to that at some point. And I've been getting a certain request in my comments for almost 1/3 of a year now. about another certain series that somebody wants. We're on like day 94 now, I think. So we'll have to get around to that eventually. But yeah, we'll be uploading Souls-likes again at some point in the future. I actually had a plan to return to Elden Ring at some point, so might actually just do that sometime here soon, but I think there's a certain other series I'd have to get to first before I do that. And the final question comes from Double T Game Hustle, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Go check him out on YouTube, Instagram, and everything in between if you haven't before. He's one of my homies, one of my brothers. He makes amazing content. That's my brother right there. But his question is, what are your top 3 games that you're looking forward to this year that aren't out yet? Borderlands 4, Black Ops 7, and Donkey Kong Bonanza. There it is. If I had to pick just 3, those are the 3 that I'm most anticipating, man. You got Borderlands just because, I mean, I love Borderlands. Black Ops 7 just because it's the yearly Call of Duty. I mean, come on, me and Call of Duty, that's like bread and butter, peanut butter and jelly. If there's a Nathan, there's a Call of Duty. You know what I mean? So that just speaks for itself. And then Donkey Kong Bonanza, dude. I've been waiting for a new Donkey Kong game. Y'all want to know what our last Donkey Kong game was? Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. You want to know? Give me a minute. This game came out on the Wii U 11 years ago. Think about that. 2014. Some people watching this video weren't even alive yet. And we're finally getting a new Donkey Kong. Like, what took so long, dude? You had the entire Switch generation, which was, mind you, like the longest console generation we have ever had. And then now it's like, okay, here's the Switch 2. Now you finally get a new Donkey Kong game. And I get it. It's a really ambitious game. It is. You can like destroy everything. It's like an open world. It's basically like what they did with Kirby, where it's like, you know, like all 3D. It's crazy and it's cool because it's the first 3D Donkey Kong game that we had since like Donkey Kong 64 back when they had 64, which was like even before I was alive. Don't get me wrong. This game lasted me 11 years. This game is so good that I replay it at least once a year. The soundtrack, the gameplay, the level design, everything about it. This game is an absolute masterpiece. I love Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Don't get me wrong. But dog, there is a Wii U label on this. This was 2 generations. This is on the same level as GTA 6. It is. Have we seen Donkey Kong since technically? Yes, we have seen him in other games. You want to know where we saw Donkey Kong? Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle in the DLC. Yup, we've seen him since technically. But yeah, we're finally getting a new Donkey Kong game, and it's about damn time. But anyways, lads, there it is. That is another Q&A in the bag. Y'all had some really good questions this month. Good job, y'all. But anyway, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, if you want to be featured in the next one, either just leave your questions in the comments of this video, keep your eyes posted on the community tab, join the Discord server, or follow me on Instagram at GrotesqueIG, where I always let you guys know like a week in advance, like, hey, I'm about to do a Q&A, so give me your questions and whatnot. And yeah, we'll do this in about another month, and I'll see you guys then. But anyways, always massive shout out to all the Patrons and channel members to get all you in the low ball tier, and an even bigger shout out to the big ball tier, asking and big daddy manny, and the biggest shout out to the G tier random on the cheese scroll. Thank you guys so much, you guys are little legends. I love you. Have an amazing day, stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.